Yes, welcome. It's another Teaching Tuesday. Come on around, guys. I want to introduce you to some of my special guests. And today we'll be talking about creating with creation. And I think it's going to be so much fun. And then I have these special friends who are coming over to help me actually create things. And we will show you what they make next week in class. But first, I want to introduce you to my friends. So this is Aidah and Michael. And this is Brooke. And so we always start off each class with herbing around. And so I'm going to have you work with me on hickory nuts. So in my pouch, believe it or not, guys, I found hickory nuts this week. And this is called the hickory nut float test. Have you ever determined whether a hickory nut was good by the way, whether it floated or not? Okay, so I found these hickory nuts when I was hiking with Justin, which you'll see in my video. And what you do is you just put them in the water, and if they float, they're bad nuts. Are any of them good?
Yeah.
No? Oh my gosh. Okay, so we'll use them for like forest angel or forest folk heads or something. Any of those sink? Okay, so I guess what I'm learning through this experiment is that you need to get your hickory nuts early in the season. So Michael, what I've got for you, honey, is this entire thing of hickory nuts that Justin and I gathered. And so you can see that some of them still have the extra husk on the outside. So you're going to take that husk off, and don't put the husk into the water. Put these in the water and see if we get any good ones. And if not, we'll just use them for forest scraps, okay? So this will be for you. And then let's see. Let's have Brooke do this. So Brooke, these are mystery berries. And if anybody knows what these orange berries are, they're over by Walmart in Boone. So if y'all live in town, there's about, what's the name of that bank right across from Walmart there? I can't remember, near Hunan's or whatever that Chinese restaurant is. Anyway, there's a lot of these beautiful berry trees, and they're orange and gorgeous, and I have no idea what they are. So I wrote down orange mystery berries. And so Brooke is going to go through, and she's going to take off all of these berries and put them into this jar. And you can go do that over there if you'd like. Over there. And you, so I have all these beautiful barberries, and I'm going to do a whole class on berries, and just every single month of the year there's a different berry that comes on the nature shelves. And right now barberries are out for the picking, and it's got berberine in it. And I was just studying about berberine, and I'm going to be teaching a class on that next week when we do some wild medicines where we make a wild oxymel with the berberine of the barberry in it, and a lot of other wild wonderful things that are out now. So what Aidah is going to do is she's going to take, you can just go ahead and get started and throw those in there, but she's going to take off these berries, and they're really prickly, honey, so be careful. I mean, they're really prickly. And then I want you to fill up this jar with those. So you can go find a chair, or you can take that plate off of there if you wish, whatever you can do to make space. All right, and then I always start with a wild tea. And so my tea for today, which I was going to have Brooke do, but we ran out of time, is you'll see in my nature slide, in the slideshow, what I did is I found grapes, wild grapes. They literally were falling out of the trees. They're up so high with these gigantic grapevines that, you know, climb up and take over the trees, and I can't reach the grapes, but they would fall in clusters to the ground. And so I got a whole bunch of those. I made them into a grape syrup. See this grape syrup? So let's see, Aidah, maybe you can help me with this. Can you come back over here, hon? So I'm going to put Aidah in charge of this. So we're going to make a soda for our dinner because we're having a wild pizza for dinner. And so she's going to be in charge of the wild pizza. And I've got some burdock root, which you're going to turn into pepperoni for me. Okay. And we're also going to have some nettle soup, which is going to be something we talk about in just a minute. But we're going to drink soda with our dinner. And so what I want you to do is take this grape syrup, and I've got a funnel right here. And you're going to pour in some of the grape syrup, and then you're going to take this seltzer water, which I didn't have two plain ones, so I've got one of them that's, what does that say, tangerine, mandarin orange. So if it tastes a little bit orangey, it's because I didn't have two plain ones. All right, So there you're going to very slowly pour these in because they'll just fizz everywhere.
This first and then the syrup.
I would do this first and then add the syrup. And you're going to use a little cup just to figure out if it's the right texture, the right sweetness. So what I did with this, guys, is I took the berries, I washed them really good, and then I decocted them in a pan with water. And then in order to sweeten it, I took some wild grape jelly that I had made earlier this season to sweeten it. So it's sweetened with wild grape jelly from probably September. Anyway, so you're in charge of that. So why don't you, when you're done with it, bring it up here and you guys can all have a sip, okay? So you might need to make a couple of trips. Thank you. All right, I'm not going to actually do a cooking demo today because we have so much to cover and I'm so excited about it. But what I'd like you to do is I'm going to tell you what we're going to have. So I've got nettle that I had harvested from... actually, this is from my yard. I used to go to Betty Thomas's to get nettle because I originally got my nettle from her. So if you don't have nettle on your land, then come get some from me. I've got a lot, or I'm sure Betty'd be happy. I'm sure Will would be thrilled to get rid of some of the nettle. But nettle is one of my favorites that I told you last week in the wild garden that you must have to have nearby, and certainly not in your actual garden, but close enough in the sun so that you can have as much of that nutrition as possible. All right, so I have this dried from collecting it throughout the summer and spring, and it smells nettly. It smells like grass, but it'll taste so good. And then I've got Jerusalem artichokes, which are fermenting, and that takes away the inulin, which causes farting and gas and, gastral issues because it doesn't digest. And so by digesting it with fermentation, it really makes a difference. So we might be a little bit tutti frutti, but it'll be nothing like if we took them right out of the ground. This is my favorite wild edible survival food. So we're going to be taking these, chopping them up, mashing them, or just cooking them really, really well, and then mashing them into the nettle soup that we're going to make. And I'll give you the recipe on my Patreon page. So I'm excited about that. So we're having that and a wild pizza, which will have wild pepperoni made with burdock root and probably some poke and whatever else I want to pull out of the freezer or out of my wild pantry. So we'll take pictures of our dinner after we make it, but I'm not going to actually show you how we do it now. So I'm going to put this down.
I finished that. Should I get a little cup?
Oh, I think we need more.
No, you gotta,
oh, yeah. All right. Well, here, this is your glass. Try it and sample, and then come on back up here with it, and then we can give it to everybody if you like the way it tastes. So go ahead and try that. Okay. So, oh my gosh, I've been having so much fun gathering scraps from nature, and I can't wait to share with you what it is I've got in my kitchen today, and then I cannot wait to see what the kids come up with tonight, and then we'll post those pictures next week. If you're new, welcome. I'm so glad you've joined me. If you're on YouTube, like and subscribe, and comment. Let me know where you're at, and that you're there, and just say hi. Okay. The wild thoughts I want to talk about in creating is, well, I'll go ahead and read to you Genesis 1, verse 1, which says, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And the earth was formless and void, and darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was moving over the surface of the waters. And then God said, 'Let there be light,' and there was light. And God saw that the light was good, and God separated the light from the darkness." And then down in verse 27, it says, "And then God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. And God blessed them and said to them, 'Be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth and subdue it.'" And so God is creator, and we are made in his image. And so when we create, we are actually being like our Father, like our source. And so whether you're creating by composing beautiful music, or you're creating by training a dog, which I've never been able to pull off, or you're creating as an artist like my husband, because he's a fabulous artist, or if you're creating by making forest angels or just whatever you're doing with your hands just know that God is smiling on you and that you are actually living your purpose when you create. And so I thought that was just amazing. And then some other scriptures I wanted to share are this. It is good to give thanks to the Lord and to sing praises to your name, O Most High, for you, O Lord, have made me glad by what you have done. I will sing for joy at the work of your hands, at the work of your hands. And then our scripture verse for today is rejoice and be glad forever in what I create. Okay, so I just had this really weird thought. I was thinking back to when I was a kid, and my dad was such a, his whole body was almost an instrument. He was always whistling. He could whistle in harmony. He could whistle just beautiful whistling. And then also he could do funny, weird things with his hands and make weird noises. He could make bird calls and they actually built, tennis courts up at the camp that they started for boys, and they did a lot with their hands. And when I was a kid, he'd always have me raking and working and stuff with my hands, but I wasn't nearly as involved as he was. And then I'm watching this next generation now do very little with their hands and be more of a spectator by just simply watching what's on YouTube or on their iPads or on their phones. And so God created us to create and to be in nature. He put us in a garden. He didn't put us in front of a TV set. And so he wants us to come alive just like he is. And when we create with our hands, we are actually doing more than existing. We are coming alive. And so I just wanted to share those thoughts with you and challenge you to think about that. And I've got a wonderful talk I'll be giving coming up this coming month on the restorative power of nature. Scientists have done so much work recently to prove that it actually is such an incredible being in nature and working with nature and being in the soil and the dirt is actually antidepressant, and it will actually is very healing in very scientifically proven ways for our mind, for our soul, for our spirits, and our bodies. So if you are interested in that, I'll be sure to let you know. If you subscribe, then you'll be able to see when this is coming out. So that'll be exciting. All right, so let's talk about nature art. So I wanted to write down on my board some of the different things that I have collected and that you can collect. And so when we were going on our hiking habits earlier throughout the season, we're always looking for something to eat. And really there isn't as much now. If you haven't put it up or preserved it, there's not as much to eat, but there's still things out there like Beautyberries are still out for the picking, and so are the barberries out for the picking, and the roots are out for the picking. This is a horseradish. And so there's bark and there's sap and there's things that have gone, the energy has gone down into the soil. And so that's where you would find your food at this point, unless you have preserved it. But I'm talking about going out shopping, looking for things in nature that you can use to create with. And so let's talk about that. So you can do, whoops, let me get into, I didn't take the time to write it up here. But so with wood, you want to look for sticks, and you want to look for bark, and you want to look for stumps. And what other kind of woody things can we look for? Like birch bark. Let's see, where's my birch bark? Birch bark has such a wonderful, soft, you can make it into clothing. I'm not sure where I put it. But anyway, I was going to have this all organized by the woody things. But when you're making a forest angel, or a folk that the kids are making tonight, they need body. They need a structure. And so therefore, you want to get things like so I collected some of these sticks today. And so these, if they just use some sharp shears, they can cut the body the length they want it to be. And so they're going to need arms and legs and feet and heads and all that kind of thing. But you're going to want to have a sturdy stick or something like that. And so you can also use bark. And so here's some bark that we have. And what are some other heavy duty things? Let's see.
Did someone say birch bark?
Oh, wow. That's beautiful.
Take a look at this one.
Yeah, you guys, you can use this for your wardrobe if you want.
It appears as though the wood literally rotted inside of the bark, And so we
Wow.
found this, as you see it here, and carried it home. So that's
You
birch
could
bark.
you can make a canoe out of that.
Maybe.
All right, so twigs and branches and bark. And then I was really excited because I've been obsessing over grapevine tendrils. Jace, can you hand those to me? They're right here. Okay, here's the birch bark. So look at this inner bark, how soft that is. Jace, can you hand me those little tiny tendrils? So these grape tendrils, guys, look at how cool these are. I have no idea what you're going to do with them, but they're available if you want to use them. But these little tendrils are so tenacious, so as the grape is growing up, it's always reaching up, trying to find something to wrap around so it can continue growing higher and higher and get to the sun to make the grape clusters. So those are exciting. Also tree wedges, when there's clear cutting, you can collect a lot of those beautiful tree wedges, and the kids will be using some of those for their backdrops. Evergreens, you want to get pine. So I got some pine. You want to get juniper, cypress, fir, spruce, pine cones. I have a huge basket of pine cones. So you could actually make your forest angel as a pine cone. One of my friends, one of these times, made an owl. And so this is the remnants of it, but it fell apart. So I'm going to try and refix the owl today so that it can come back to life. And then nuts, all of the nuts we've been talking about. You can use buckeyes. You can use, all these acorns. You can use chestnut acorns. You can use red acorns, red and white oak. And then what are these guys? Do you recognize these? Do you see these little guys? Michael, do you recognize these? Have you ever seen birch nuts? This little, when they open up, you can actually eat the nuts on the inside. But these are kind of cute. They could be for a hat, or they could be sleeves or whatever. So all the different nuts, and there's walnuts, and you can use the husk as well as the hickory nuts. So Michael, if you're done with those hickories, can you bring them over here and drop them into the water, and let's see how that worked out. I want to see if I get any good hickory nuts. Okay, so then we talked about evergreen, and we talked about nuts. So you can even use the nut meats. You just never know. And then there's leaves, and the kids were just out collecting some leaves. What kind of leaves did you guys collect? Where are they? Right here? Here they are. Okay, so they collected some rhododendron leaves, because look at how flexible those are. So this could be some clothing on your forest folk. And they also collected, okay, go ahead and dump them in, buddy. I'm dying to see if any of them work. I think they're just going to be forest angel things. Are they in your pockets?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
The pockets are for.
I don't have one good nut. That's crazy. Earlier in the season, you would get 3 or 4 bad ones at the top, and they would all be at the bottom. Okay. All right, these are lamb's ears. And so see how soft this is as well. And you'll see in my video, I made one of my forest angels with the lamb's ear skirt. So the kids are going to use glue guns to put things together, which is super easy, and just don't burn yourself. All right. And then we've got lots of rocks. And so I'm writing rocks up here. And as you're looking and you're hiking around, look for unusual rocks. And so you can look for rocks that are caramel colored. You can use little tiny white rocks, little pebbles. This one to me kind of looked like a heart. And now that I'm looking at it, it really doesn't look all that much like a heart. But anyway, it could be a stand. Sometimes you need a stand to hold the forest folk standing up. And then you can use roots. I showed you the what is it, horseradish root. And then I have a whole bunch of shells, and it's not because I live near the ocean, but my friend Mary Lou does. And so look at these gorgeous shells that she gave me. She lives in Florida, and she's always bringing me shells, guys. So you can use shells with your angels if you want. Look how beautiful those are. Aren't those nice? Okay, when you're done with the berries, you can bring them over. All right. So then we do shells, and then we can also do seed pods. And this is my favorite, because every plant is going to go to seed, because it's all about life, and the life is in the seed. And so the seed pods carry that life, and they're so, I think, more beautiful than the actual flowers. So I have lots of seed pods. Look at these beautiful, can you all see this? These are milkweed. I have, look at these lovely iris seed pods. Let's see if there's any seeds in there. Yes, there are. Well, those could be eyeballs, guys. Look how little they are. So this could actually be a sleeve, like on the side of your body with a little hand coming out the bottom. Look at that. Looks like a sleeve, sort of. So when you're looking at these things, you think, what could I use this for? And what does this remind me of? And what, you just start thinking, well, I know that's a pussy willow, but what could I use that for on my forest folk? It could be a guy's gray hair or something. I don't know. All right. And then, of course, there's these cute little evening primrose. These are really interesting. I love these. These are catalpas. And so Jason and I were driving home on 194, and I saw these hanging from the tree, and I go, pull over. So we pulled over, and I go out, and I get my shears. I always have your pruning shears with you if you're a wild woman. And I cut down a bunch of these, and they're kind of like, they're like swords, but they can also be used in seedscapes. And so let me show you a seedscape that my dear friend Martha Ensman made. So this is her seedscape, and you can see the catalpa seed right there. Look, Aidah, have you seen this one before? Isn't it beautiful? So see, there's the catalpa right there. And these kids, they've grown in these mountains, so they probably are aware of what a lot of these are. But look at, there's a mullein stalk, and this is her little forest angel climbing a tree. And then she used a lot of milkweed seed puffs for clouds. And man, she just did such a great job. You can see so many different plants are represented in this seedscape. So let me put this back gently. I also found some holly leaves, which would be good to use maybe for wings or something like that. All right, so seeds, and then not only seed pods, but you also the seeds, and the seeds can be all different sizes and shapes, and the tiny little seeds can be eyeballs, or they can be, something small on your forest folk. Okay, then we're going to talk about berries. So berries, you can dry the berries and use them for eyes, or you can use them for decoration or for color. And so that's what the kids have been doing, is they've been deberrying some things for me, and then they'll have them all labeled. And what I like to do is I like to put them into soup cans that, so these are all my red oak acorns. And over here is all of my, this isn't actually labeled, but these are little tiny, tiny, tiny pine cones. Okay, so then moss. So you're always looking for different textures. And right now, moss is really kind of screaming out with the color that is out there to show. So I have some moss, Jason, behind that little ring wraith right there. But I don't have any here. So anyway, moss is fun. And I found this today too. Look how beautiful this is. And this can be used for hair, or it can be used for a dress or pants or whatever. That's very cool. And so I'm not sure what this is called or what kind of a plant that is, but that's out right now for the picking as well. What else do we have? Okay, so fungus. Look how beautiful this is. So I found these out on a tree, I guess last year. And then look at these elephant, this is called elephant ear. And these are they grow on boulders in the woods. And so this could also be used for a wardrobe. And these are turkey tails. And I've never actually used them for anything, but I think that the kids could probably come up with some great idea for it. All right, let's see, what else do we have? So then grasses. So here I've got some grasses here. I don't know what, you could use grass for hair. You could use grass for a grass skirt, whatever. Dried flowers. Here's some dried flowers I have over here. Here's some, what are those? Daffodils. Okay, so these are dried daffodils from last year. You can use this for hair, like I did on that little girl there. And then this is goldenrod that's been dried. And I usually love making a tea out of this, but you can also use it for decorating. Animal related things. You did a great job. Okay, look at all of her barberries, and that's the perfect size. So those are wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to put these down. Then there's also some really animal related things. So we have a lot of snakes around here, and so I like to collect the snake skins after they've kind of slithered out of their exoskeleton. So I have a whole jar of snake skins, and those are fun to use with. Did you make it too, hun? Thank you so much. Awesome. Okay, so snake skins, you might want to have a snakeskin shirt, or like, oh, one of my friends made a crocodile and the very tip of its tail was the end of the snakeskin. So that was fun. Or you can use feathers. So looking for feathers is fun. Bones. I have a whole jar of bones, like, what are they called? Wish bones. Or if you find deer bones in the forest or whatever, from the coyote kitchen, then you can use those. Vegetable scraps. So let's find some of those. Where did I put those? Oh, here's an antler. I found an antler. So like every day I just go out with an empty basket and I say, Lord, just what do you have shown for me to gather all around me? And so I always come home with something. All right, guys, let's come over here real quick and try the grape soda. Did it taste good? Is it good?
She seems to think so.
All right, well, bring it over and let's pour some for Michael and some for Brooke. And Jace, would you like some too?
I would, yes.
A little more what?
You might need a little more grape stuff, but they can try it.
If you want it more, you can add a little more. You don't want to try it? Okay. Oh, here, I'll show you how to do it. You just push it like that. And be careful because that's not flat. And Michael, you want to try it, hon?
Sure.
Would you take this to Jason for me? Oh, you can have more than that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bring it all the way up to the gold. Uh-oh, Max is stealing a piece of bark. That's good. And then do one for him. All right, Michael, stand right there and taste it and tell me what you think.
It's good.
Does it need any more sweetness? If it does, just add a little bit more, okay? You take that around to Jason, and then you can bring, there's another glass over there, and that'll be for you, okay, hon? Okay, the veggie scraps. Where did I have veggie scraps? Here's one. So you know how pumpkins have their stems? I always save them. So I've got pumpkin stems, and I also have the garlic cores. Those are really fun that you can use. I wanted to show you that these seeds, can you guess what these are? These are out, you know what? He's going to get crazy, Jace. We should probably put him away. These are mustard seeds and the seed pods, and the seeds are the inside. And so probably next week, I'll teach you how to make mustard out of these. But this is what mustard is made out of. And then you can use non-wild ingredients. So like this is a broken earring of mine. So girls, if you like that, you can put that on your thing. I have pearls, I have jewels, I have marbles, I have all kinds of raffia and ribbons and things like that. So you can just add that to your wardrobe or your collection. Yeah. And then just making sure that you have a little already ready to go, just the glue guns and the glue sticks, and have everything ready. All right, guys, I want to tell you what I'm going to be asking you to do. So Jason, where are your cards with Grace on them? All right, so let me just grab them real quick. So they're going to, after we make dinner together, we're going to have our crafting time. And after they've made their person, they're going to write down, put your name on here, and then write down the head, the body, the feet, the arms, every part of the body and the clothing. And then we will figure out and write down what nature scrap you use to decorate that with. So then when we do a photo shoot at the end, and we're going to put them on these stumps, they're going to say, this is my friend Melinda, and her dress is made out of daffodils, and she has lamb's ear apron, and she's got a little bird. Oh, by the way, I have a lot of little birds if you guys want to put birds with yours as well. Her lips are made out of sumac, and her eyes are cloves, and she has a black-eyed Susan. I'm not sure what that is, like maybe it's a brooch or something on her dress, and her sleeves are made out of irises, and her arms or her hands coming down are just petals of rose. So that's what they're going to write down, and so that they can know. And you don't have to know what these things are in order to create. You just see them and you think, what could I use that for? And how can I make it fun? And how can I make it pretty? And then start creating. But it's really kind of cool when you can know. I sent the kids out for a scavenger hunt before class today, and they came back with a lot of other things, lots of nuts and barks and leaves. so they can use those as well as my wardrobe. But it would be really fun to get to the point where you can tell your children, go get birch bark, go get sassafras root, go get this and go get that, and for them to know what all of these things are. And that is not only impressive, but it's empowering. And to know what all of these plants do for you and how they are so life-giving and not just fun to play with is really exciting. Okay, so one more thing to show you, and then I'm going to do our slideshow. And so today, all right, Michael, come over here. I want to see if you can guess what this is. Watch your step on those twigs. Okay, so today do you see what color this is? I dug this up. I didn't do a very good job. I didn't have a shovel. What color is that? Green. This tree is kind of a shrub, grows, it's always green all winter long. So you can always tell what this is. And if you can't tell what it is, you can smell it. And then you'll know what it is. So do you know what this is by any chance? Okay. What does that smell like? Here, this is probably a better smell. Smell the root. Does it smell kind of spicy?
Yeah.
This is sassafras. Have you ever tried sassafras before?
Yeah.
This is what you make root beer out of.
Oh.
Yeah. So we're going to make root beer out of this, but we won't be able to drink it tonight. We'll make it so that you can have it later. Like you could come back again if you want. But anyway, this is a really good stick to make hot dogs. Like if you're roasting hot dogs out on a campfire, use a sassafras stick because your hot dog's going to taste like root beer. And if you're going to use a stick to roast a hot dog, you want to make sure it's an edible tree. And sassafras is very edible and really delicious and so good for you. So anyway, we'll try a little bit of make a hot tea out of it tonight. Let the girls smell that. It is just amazing. So if you see a green tree this time of year, pretty sure if it's not an evergreen, that it's a sassafras. See how spicy that is? Isn't that cool? Oh, Max wants it. Okay. Well, I hope that was really fun for you. I think the fun is about to begin in my house, and next week you'll get to see the results of that. But right now, you can see the slideshow that I put together of Nature's Wave this week. My boys were home. Last week, Jordan was a part of my class, and Justin and I went foraging together. That's when we got all these hickory nuts that are no good, but we sure had fun getting them. And so you'll get to see our adventures. You'll get to see my forest angel wardrobe up close in pictures, and you'll also get to see very little cooking wild because my boys really don't prefer that I serve them something unusual unless I just kind of hide it, but I was just too thankful for them to be home to try to snooker them. But Suzanne Upton put one of her, gave me some pictures of some shrimp that she had been brining in sumac. And so remember last week we made a sumac aid, which was delicious. So she made a wonderful brine out of it. And so she had brined shrimp with it and then grilled it over an open fire. So you'll see those pictures, and then you'll see pictures about beauty this time of year and the colors this time of year. So let's get started, and then I'll say goodbye to you at the end. Okay, this is my video. Just watch. It's a different. Don't look at this one. My turn off. My turn off. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that. So that's just kind of my week in reverse, but I was blown away. Jason actually put a composition of our youngest son. The first song in that slideshow was orchestrated, well, it was composed and then orchestrated in this one of Justin's songs. And so I just was blown away by that. So I'm pretty excited to share that with you. So if you comment, please share with us what you like to create. If you like to write, if you like to sing, if you like to compose songs, if you play the piano, or if you like to compose or write poetry. I'm just curious because God created us to create, and each one of us has a gift. And not all of us can. I could certainly never play the piano like Justin does or paint like Jason does, but we all have our gifts. And so my gift is just fooling around with God's creation and telling other people about it. So I would love to know what you like to create. Rejoice and be glad forever in what I create. And God gets so much of a joy out of watching his kids be in nature. He placed us in a garden. He didn't place us indoors. He put us in a garden, and that's where we can be restored. And the restorative power of nature to rejuvenate us, to refresh us, to renew us, to restart us is remarkable physiologically in every way. And so I'm looking forward to teaching on that. I gave that talk years ago at the Watauga High School, and I can't wait to do it again because guess what? There's been so much more research since then that has proven that being in nature is actually what can heal you better than any pill, better than even any diet. It is unbelievable what God has created for our goodness and for our blessing. So I wanted to share that. What else did I want to talk about before we end? I guess we're just going to go ahead and get started with cooking our dinner, and then the kids are going to create. And next week, you'll get to see what it is that we all made together, and I'm looking forward to that. So thank you for joining me, and I hope this was a blessing to you. Let me know what you create this week and in the comments below. Take care.
And don't forget to share things. Share.
Oh, yeah. Share with others. And thank you, those of you who support me on Patreon. I could not do this without you. I am really grateful. And so thank you for that. God bless you all.